Now if you remember the feather project, what I'm doing is I'm using the color, so I've blitzed that feather, and while it was wet, I'm putting, maybe adding a little bit of white. That's a nice addition. I'm doing a landscape actually. So I've warmed up the front with some raw sienna, and what I'm doing here is giving the effect of cloud. But the whole idea of this project is going to be a fence. How do we do a fence? And also it's quite abstract. So I'm rubbing this in and picking up some color from this side with the warm. The warm is at the bottom. So you want to, if I turn this over, you get an idea of what happens. The cool at the bottom and the warm at the top is not ideal. Of course you can do it, it's fun, you can change the rules. But generally speaking, the warm is at the bottom. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a little bit of color with my trusted squirt bottle, and I'm going to just get a little bit of color in here to give me a horizon line, yeah? And then what I'm going to do now is just push this back a bit, give me a bit of a background, horizon line, distance, and I want to let this dry, and we're going to create a fence inside, in the front, using cardboard. Yeah, so there we go. Let's just get some dimension here and some perspective in the distance. So the perspective runs towards the center. Don't worry about the colors you use. Have fun with the colors. Just make it interesting in terms of the perspective lines. And then what I think I want to do is have some trees in the background, but what I need to do now is let this dry. I'm going to dry it, and then I'm going to have some trees in the background, and we're going to create a fence using cardboard. Very, very easy. I'm now going to do the trees, and they're going to go out of the border. Remember, I like the idea of thirds, so there's a roughly third and then a third. So we're going to do green, 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 and we're going to do raw sienna as a point of yellow, really. This is a yellow, and that's the green, green. And then obviously we have to have a little bit of white to tint it and lighten everything. So I'm just going to play. I've got a long brush, long handled brush, and the position of it would be around about a third. So we choose a light source, right or left, doesn't matter. And as you can see, the background is not quite dry, but we just start positioning the trees. It's really about design. Everybody knows what good design is. I'm not saying this is the best design. I'm saying the concept of making a painting that is easy and quick is made easier when design is implemented. So we've got this tree coming out here, and we've got a bit of green there. I'm choosing my light source to come from this side. So here's my green tree. Sometimes you want to have a variation so that we don't have this totally regular and you can see it's completely abstract. The colors are bright. Okay, so we've got our big tree in there, we've got our smaller tree in here, and what I want to do is to create a tree here, which is working on the thirds again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then let's add a bit of white on the side of this tree while it's wet. I'm using acrylic, of course, and what that means is that it dries fairly quickly. Okay, so I'm going all the way up out of the border of the painting, lightening this right hand side of the painting of the tree, should I say. So we're going to color it with the raw sienna now, and let's see how this goes. Keep an eye on it. My board keeps running around the studio table, but that's okay. And mixing in, get a bit of green in here, darken the side, lighten this side. So we've got a small tree, a middle sized tree, and then a larger tree. And that's what I want to do. I want to create a variation in the whole thing. Okay, let's take the back of the brush at the moment, this point of the brush, and we create a dimension in here, and then yeah, we can bring that up. Remember, this project is about using a board or cardboard to create a fence in front of the tree. So what I've done is I've done the background, then I'll do the next layer, which is the tree, and then I'll do the fence down at the bottom here. So now I'm going to add a bit of color, which is going to be bringing the tree forward because it's a little bit yellow. This raw sienna is yellow, and what that does is it gives a dimension to the tree. So the background of the tree is shadowed and the color of the tree, and it's pretty easy to do. Just touch, 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 and you create your own abstract. This is quite abstract. I love abstract, and really cool. And then let's get the back of the brush again and create a dimension on the thing so it brings it forward while it's still wet. And then yeah, I'm just going with as I see it. I just make my own marks. So it's relying on design, perspective, and the rule of thirds. So I'm softening the whole thing at the bottom. Remember that what happened is this painting started out as the feather painting. So if you want to watch that, you can watch that, the feather design. And then I flattened it and squashed everything in and created this color, super color. It's not realistic, super color. So I'm just watching as I go the pieces that are standing up, like textural pieces that are standing up. Take this little piece off and pushing them back. So the marks at the beginning are very strong, and then towards the end they get blended together. So they start blending together. Now, the strange part about abstract is this abstract tree actually reads as a tree, even if it's not super real. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, and we're going to let this dry, and then we come to the fence part, and we're going to create a fence in the foreground with cardboard. I'm going to take the back of this notepad cardboard and I'm going to cut it into different sizes. So tearing that off, and then I'm going to cut it into different sizes. So I've got different sizes, thin, small, maybe a little bit bigger, and different lengths. So this kind of thing. And then I'm going to use the edge of it to create my foreground. Almost you could call the detail of the painting. Here's my card, and I've cut it up into different sizes. And what we're going to use is we're going to use the edge of the card. So what I've done is I've mixed up a dark color and no water. Mix up a dark color and spread it out on your palette so that we can capture as much paint as we want to on each piece of card. And for an example, we're going to look at this first one. I want the fence to go into this perspective, and all I'm doing is I'm mixing it up, and I grab a little bit of paint and I'm going to press it in. So I'm pressing it in. Now the poles are going to go from large to small in the distance, and I've got all these options here. So let's have a look at and see what happens. And again, they are not regular. They're not regular, and you can use the edge. It's almost like using a palette knife, eh? And that's about as far as I want to go with that size. And I'm going to do similar on this side of the painting. So these marks are going to become, eventually it runs out, so you have to, it's like a palette knife, and get these marks in here, and they all up and down. The fence is a farm fence almost. So what happens is, on a farm, you might not have it so regular, might not be evenly spaced. It might be made of wood or poles or whatever. So we're going to continue with that. I'm going to choose a smaller piece of card. Remember, you can use any side of the card. And then, yeah, we get this back in the paint, and we make smaller marks along the way as we get our poles towards this perspective line. And I'm really starting to think about the horizontal poles that are also irregular. They're all over the place. They're just kind of attached, you know. That's the way it is on a farm. And we get bigger marks in the front, towards the front. And then what I'm going to do, I'm already seeing how this could work, where there's a gate here somewhere. So the gate post is probably a little bit heavier. So I'm just wiping it like a palette knife again. Wiping it like a palette knife. It's coming right into the center of the painting, a little bit off center. But yeah, it's going okay. I'm happy. So now I'm just going to throw that out. I've got a dustbin right next to me, a trash can in the studio, and now some of them could be a bit skew, like they've been pushed over somehow. And there is my fence. That's how it works. It's like actually working cool. So now what I want to do, I'm going to create a gate here. One of those swing gates that open. But first of all, let's complete this structure. So you've got this left and right thing, and there's my computer talking to me, so that I should have turned down, but anyway, it's not serious. There you go, there's my fence, and that's as easy as that. Let's take it right off to the edge, and then we come back. I'm going to think about how we're going to do the gate. So the larger piece of card, and then we're going to create a gate that's all skew as well. So I'm going to make the gate, and I'm choosing a specific shape, the shape of the length of the cardboard, and we just press it in here. Let's press it down there, see what happens. There we go. There's a kind of indication of a gate, and maybe you can use this long piece to make different dimensions. And then I see another shape that I want, and pick up some paint and create a feeling of the fence, the gate, and it's all skew. And here's some. The next stage is to put a little bit of dimension on some of the poles, so it's not all of them, but some of them will have a dimension to it. So it makes it light and dark. Light and dark is more important than color, in my opinion. It's like it's more important than having the color. The color itself is not so serious. So we're going to throw that out, and now I'm going to create a little indication of a road or a pathway. So this is going to be raw sienna, and again, it's not very accurate or realistic. It's more an indication of this pathway. And then that's the light part. And what I'm going to do here is just darken up some of this stuff. So it's using acrylic. It's quite amazing material. Oil is amazing. Oil is actually my favorite material. But there are times when acrylic is brilliant for an exercise. I'm just darkening up that edge of the trees here, giving that dimension, so 3D kind of effect on the left hand side of my view, and darkening up the left hand side, so it gives you the feeling that the light is coming from this side and then the shadows are happening on that side. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just not too happy about this dark mark, so I'm going to soften that, give it that feel of the road that's going through, or the pathway. And then the last thing I'm going to do is give myself a cloud somehow in the background. So that's a bit of white and yellow ochre, and give myself a cloud, not touching it too much, just giving me a feeling of a cloud. So now I need to get myself some more white, and then add the white to my palette, because I ran out of white. So that's no good, and it's drying quite quickly. A little bit of raw sienna on the one side of the brush. It's a bit too raw sienna-ish. Remember, when you're painting with any medium, actually acrylic or any medium, you want to flatten your paint out on the palette. You want to squeeze it out. It's been sitting in the tube for a long time, and it needs to have a bit of a exercise to soften it, and you also get a feel of what the paint is doing. So here we go, some more white, and you can put some white in there, like cloud. My clouds are kind of running this way, to the right hand side, and it's starting to look nice. I'm happy with it, abstract-ish. How does that work? Abstract-ish. And it is abstract. I would argue that most paintings are abstract because they're not real. If you're painting a boat in your painting, it's not a boat, it's a painting of a boat. Now that's all philosophical, but that abstraction happens in every painting. And putting the light down at the bottom here, kind of giving me the edge of my horizon. And then some bright white up at the top. It's something to look at, you know. What you want to do in the painting is you want to kind of capture the viewer. The viewer must look at it and say, wow, that's amazing, this is amazing, that's amazing, this is cool. And if they can run up and down the painting and scan it as a painting, then you've achieved a goal, you know. It's a bit tough to do that because things are really fast, so we want fast information. But there we go. I think we're done. I don't think there's anything else to do here. So thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to my videos. Bye.